Hey everybody, Christina here. Welcome to another video in our Student CEO Success Series. In this video, I'm going to walk you through some tips and some tricks to help you build excellent discussion posts and also a strategy to help you be able to recall this information long after your time in college. All right, let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen and we'll take a look as we go through our slideshow together. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to talk about discussion posts today, and this is part of our Student CEO Success series. Now, discussion posts are a really important part of your online college career. And it's a way for you to engage in the coursework, for you to engage with your colleagues. And so, like I said, in this video, I'm going to talk about some tips about discussion board participation. I'm going to offer you a technique for organizing your college classwork. This is a way, not the way, to organize yourself. And I'm also going to walk you through how I would track my own and build my own discussion posts if I were in this class. All right. So why do we even have discussion boards? They're set up to mimic real world communication. If you're in an online class, you don't have the time in the physical class where we would be having conversations, analyzing and critically thinking and talking about the course material. And so in the online classroom, we use discussion boards to mimic that communication. This will also build your skills for when you get out in the workforce. Lots of places have remote teams or remote team members, and the communication via writing is critical. Discussion boards also help you build your analysis skills and your critical thinking skills. Discussion boards help you engage deeper in the coursework, which helps you retain that information. And when students are intentional with their discussion boards, that information that you learn is retained at a higher rate than if you just kind of did a quick stream of consciousness discussion post. Okay, so here are some techniques for creating your discussion post. First, I recommend that you create and keep a log of your discussion writing outside of the college system. Lots of students don't realize that when you leave college, whatever you've typed into the college system, you don't have access to it anymore. Once you complete your degree or your certificate program, you don't have access to those courses anymore. So having a warehouse or a database of your work outside of the learning management system, we use Blackboard, that's going to help you keep track of what you learn. It's going to create a log of your learning, and it gives you the ability to reference that information later, or if you need to refresh those course concepts, or if you need something that you've learned to apply into your job and maybe you've forgotten some of it, you can go back and look at it. So here's what I recommend. I've got an image on the screen of how I set up on a flash drive. You can use a flash drive, you can use Google Docs, you can use whatever you want to use. However, if you use the college OneDrive, keep in mind when you graduate, you won't have access to that OneDrive. So I say build it off of the college system. In this example, I built it on a flash drive and I made a folder in my flash drive called college class. You could call it whatever the name of the current class is. This one I just made as a generic folder. So in my college class folder, I put three additional folders. I've got one folder that is called articles and other materials. So sometimes you'll find an article as you're researching, or maybe I'll provide an article and you think, I want to keep that one for later. You can just save it into this folder. The second folder I've called assignments. So if I were doing this, I would save each of my assignments outside of the college system so that, let's say something happens and my assignment doesn't post. I always have it somewhere else where I can just get it, resubmit it, no problem. And then finally, I've got a little yellow star, gold star down by the discussion post folder. That's what we're going to look at together. So I'm going to walk you through how I would do these discussion posts. So we're going to take a minute. I'm going to jump over into Microsoft Word and I'm going to show you how I would set up this actual discussion post folder. So let me get that over to our screen. All right. See if this is going to share for us. Oh, yes, perfect. Okay, let me make it bigger. All right. Sorry for the fast scroll here. And so here is what I have set up. Let me make this a little bit larger so you can see it. I set up a document and I just called it discussion posts, and that's in that discussion post folder. So I put a heading here, discussion post, and I went through and I put each week of the term, week 1, week 2, week 3, and so on. And then I copied the prompt directly out of the course shell. So out of Blackboard, I just copied whatever the discussion prompt for week 1 was, and I put it into the document here. So in this one, we're going to focus on one aspect of human relations discussed in the chapter that resonated, something that I found surprising or thought-provoking. I'm going to share my thoughts on how this can influence my career or my interactions with colleagues. Also, consider share any personal experience or examples related to the topic. How have I observed these concepts in action, either in workplace or in my life? And then it tells me my primary post should be at least 250 words. Any follow-up posts to my peers or colleagues should be substantive with at least 150 words. Okay, that's my post. Then I've got a section for my response. And so I'm using the APA format. In bold, I'm going to put my heading of human relations of interest. So that's something that came directly out of the post. And to myself, I just put a note here. I want to talk about those human relations skills and topics that resonated for me. I've already got a reminder for my in-text citation there. So anything I'm citing, whether it's direct quote or whether it is paraphrase or summarize, I'm just going to say Schmitz 2012. And then I also made myself a note. I want to think about what personal examples could I use in this discussion post to highlight. And then I want to make sure that I reflect on those so that I get full credit. Then I have a bold heading for references, and I just put a note for myself. I want to put a reference to the text. And as I was thinking about this article, this is just an example, I'm thinking about an article by Maxwell that I know has some information about these human relations topics in chapter 1. So I would want to grab that, check that out, and add any information from that article. If I do that, I want to make sure I put a citation for that article. So this is just a note I put to myself as I was preparing to make my discussion post. Now, once I've kind of gotten this structure for my discussion post, I can read my chapter and type in my notes as I go along here. So I might have a personal example of the time when my manager at the bank didn't communicate a new change well and how that impacted a team morale. I just made that up off the top of my head. But this is something that as I'm thinking about those personal examples, I might want to write about that a little bit. Now, structuring your discussion post in this way may be very different than what some of you have done in college in the past, or it may be different than what you did if you're coming from high school. This is a way, it's not the way, but it is a way that helps you kind of organize your thoughts, strategize how you're going to respond to that discussion post, and it's going to help you ensure that you meet the criteria for the post. Once I finish this response, then I can just copy everything that I've put. Make sure you proofread it. I can copy it and I can paste it directly into the Blackboard discussion post. And then I'm gone. I'm good. I'm golden. I can save my work. And then when it gets to time for week 2, I can just come down, paste the prompt, structure my response, do my writing, and then post it. So hopefully, this is something that helps you create that discussion post. It helps you kind of structure your thinking. It helps you ensure that you've met the criteria for the full credit. And at the same time, you're building yourself a log of your learning that you can refer to once you're out in the workplace. All right, folks, as always, if you have questions, if you need help, please reach out. I've got my contact information and my appointment link in our Blackboard course, as well as in the syllabus. I'm looking forward to reading your discussion posts. All right, have a great day.